start by requesting that we modify the agenda to move the comments from the public up to immediately. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
You're trusting, you didn't even ask why.
I know.
Okay. Bill?
I'm a public commenter now.
You're officially a public commenter.
You're officially a public commenter. My name is Bill Thorne, and
We are zooming, so maybe you want
Sit at
to
the end there.
sit there so they can see you as well as.
okay, if I may be informal and say,
Now we can see, now we can't see. Should we sit here?
I can't see me. Where do I go? You just
Why don't you come sit?
I love that.
Come sit right here.
Thank you, bud. I've always been a bicyclist. I had planned on, I still do plan on taking a bike trip from Alberta, Canada to down along the crest of the Rocky Mountains to the Mexican border. And it goes right along the Continental Divide. It seems really cool. I started to train for it and I realized when I was a teacher at EO, I would, last day of school, I'd throw my bicycle and my camping gear into the back of my car, drive to an airport, or have somebody drop me off, and I'd spend a whole summer cycle camping around Ireland without ever training or anything. And I realized, at 68, I can't do that. So I fortuitously stumbled upon an organization called Cycling Without Age. And essentially what it is, and I'm not at this level yet, but we're all heading in that direction, is it's an arrangement made, a chapter or a group, that there's currently one in Stonington, Mystic area, and one in West Hartford. And they get these rickshaws, I'll call it. It's an electric bicycle that has, it's a tricycle, I should say. The two front wheels have sort of a bench seat between them. And then the back wheel is the bicycle part with the steering wheel and pedals. And I asked John to forward, I guess he did, sort of a more detailed description of it by email to you folks, and I hope you had a chance to look at it. But essentially what you do is a pilot, which is the person who operates the electric bike, will go to, let's just say, Mansfield Nursing and Rehabilitation Center. In fact, I spoke to Jolene, who's the admissions director, and she was really excited about it. And you pick people up, people who haven't been on a bicycle in 20 or 30 years, and you take them for a ride. And it might be as is it Jolene, the woman at the National Rehab Center? She did, I'm doing an aging mastery course, and she was one of our speakers, yeah.
Jeremy's not here.
No, she is. I mean, I thought she was on this commission. So in any case, the idea is you go there and it's prearranged, and you'll see this if you watch the videos. People get in on the bicycle or the tricycle, and you take them for a ride. And maybe you take them down to the rail trail. Maybe, as Jolene had said, just around the wooded area behind the Mansfield Nursing and Rehab Center. But it gets them out to feel the wind in their hair. And it's just, when you see these videos, it's pretty tears, because it is such an easy way to make such a profound impact on someone's life who hasn't been able to be outside and certainly hasn't ridden a bicycle in 30 years. Yeah, they're not pedaling, but they're out there. They're feeling the sun, hearing the birds, all that stuff. So my hope is that each of you will take a look at the email that I guess you've received. I think my contact information is there. My hope is that I'm a great bicyclist. I'm horrible organizer. It was the bane of my teaching career. It's like, oh yeah, organize. So I'm hoping there's maybe a group of people who can work with me on getting something set up for the town of Mansfield. When I'm ready to go for that bike ride, there will be a group that will take it. That's kind of. Meanwhile, a lot of other people. Do you guys have any quick questions?
Liability.
Say it again.
Liability.
I spoke to the woman who runs the Mystic chapter. And she said, and probably David Stevens, or. Okay, would be able to speak to that part of it, but he said you set up an LLC. And I went, my eyes immediately went blank. And so then, because I can't remember stuff, but the nursing home and the chapter having the LLC somehow takes care of liability. It's not a brand new thing. It's not even a brand new thing in Connecticut. As I said, West Hartford and Mystic have done that. And the guy who set up, Kevin Sullivan, who set up the West Hartford chapter of this group, has all the tricks from what I understand. I haven't spoken with him, but if I can get a number of people who are interested in kind of working on this with me, I know the answer exists. I just don't know what the answer is. Anybody else?
Questions?
If you guys do have questions, call me 24/7. I'm absolutely available because I'm really enthusiastic about this, and I'm trying to make up for my limitations in paperwork doing by having people who are more able or interested. So with that, I hope you get a chance to look at the videos and get it with your phone. Phone is 860-428-2555.
I'm sorry, say that.
428-2555. See you.
Anything else? Thank you guys very much. I still appreciate your flexibility. Thanks. Take care, folks.
Okay, we can't do very much. That's a comment from the public, if you will. But we could put it on the agenda to talk about more thoroughly next month, if that's your pleasure. Yes, no, you heard enough?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear a lot because it was a hard time getting logged in. We had a problem with the password, but I heard the tail end. So it sounded kind of, are you talking about the bicycles? Is that right?
Lauren just made a comment as a member of the public. So there's an item on the agenda each week, opportunities for members of the public to speak.
Right.
So the topic is not on our agenda.
Okay,
So really discuss it any further to see whether we can help in any way, whatever. It needs to be put on the agenda for next month. My question is, do you have any interest in finding more about it or seeing if permission can be helpful? If so, we'll put it on the agenda. If not, it dies here.
I think we've got enough unresolved issues on our plate already. And this is something that can't be done till spring for. I mean,
I would think that the groundwork would need to be done now so that maybe something could actually happen in the spring.
I can say that, he's right, they have to establish an LLC, because I can say the town itself wouldn't take on the liability of the life rights for the sake of persons of any age. So that I can say, other than, being able to support it or whatever. I think it's probably individuals who might be interested in
We
they
could
get
advocate.
involved in a nonprofit organization.
I think,
From ground up.
we can discuss it, but I'm not sure at this point how we would get involved, so maybe we should discuss it at the next meeting.
Okay, I will put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
Not as a presentation.
No, it's not.
No, no,
Yeah.
just. Okay, then we're on to the acceptance of the minutes of the September 12th meeting.
They're just going over them. What discussion, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Okay, so just move Mary Attardo off of the staff liaison members present. And put her down, put her down where Juniper Hill, but also Rita Villacore, it was a community member who was present. It's in it, it's just.
Okay,
And also please, take me off, because it looks like I'm Glen Ridge's, temporary person, but just put that as vacant. Glen Ridge,
Okay.
put that as vacant. So,
did you get those, Devin?
She's on mute.
Sorry, I was on mute. So Lita Villacore, I'm putting as a community member. Is
Yes.
that correct? And then Mary, I am moving, where?
she's already down from Juniper Hill Village, so just take her off staff liaison members present, she's not a staff person,
Okay,
it's just mine.
yep,
And also just put, Glen Ridge is vacant, just put that.
look, it's very, very hard to hear you all today. Glen Ridge, where?
It's vacant, because I don't represent Glen Ridge, so put that as
Okay.
vacant, please.
Yes,
Thank you.
okay,
Thank you.
you're very welcome.
Other discussions on the minutes? Okay, all those in favor of accepting the minutes as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. The correspondence, I guess it also is the comments from the public, but Bill Thorne sent me an email, which I haven't sent around yet, but I will. People here have a copy of it. I'll make sure everyone gets a copy of that. So we look that over prior to the discussion of the topic next meeting. Okay, we're ready for you.
Okay, we did get a written report from Salem Taylor, on the senior center, correct? Did that just go to you or?
It might have gone to me. I didn't check my email yesterday and today.
Usually I bring my device, and I don't have it here. But anyway, they had a very successful Veterans Day celebration on last Friday. Had 80 plus student attendance. Really good comments. And everything. Entertainment was fantastic. It was just nice for it to be everything together again. We did still have 15 takeouts, but it was a good crowd. This Friday, we are Thanksgiving dinner, which I think will be as big. Looking forward to that. On the recruitments at the senior center, just so that you know, we have hired a new food service assistant, not the nutrition coordinator. That went back up because we actually upped the salary, which was good. A little higher than they were offering in today's job market. So that's reopened, but we did hire a food service assistant. And we're just waiting for that check. And we're hoping she'll start for the Thanksgiving weeks. So we're excited to have that position filled, and I'm very hopeful about the nutrition coordinator now, got the salary point in line with.
Pat, I'm sorry to interrupt. Could I ask maybe to move closer or in a different spot? It's there's a lot of feedback and can't really hear on the computer.
Yeah, let me see if I can move the computer itself closer to the table. I think they moved it back.
I would
So-
rather, it's easier to hear when it's closer rather than see everybody, if that makes sense.
Okay.
It's more important to hear than to see.
Okay, so I just said that we had a very successful Veterans Day celebration. And we had 80+ people here.
Thank you. I can hear you perfect now. Thank you.
Okay, we also have this Friday will be our Thanksgiving luncheon. And we're expecting a very good crowd. The two of the recruitments for the senior center, one our food service assistant, which is the new position, the 19-hour position, we have filled. We're just waiting for the background check, and we're hoping to get that person on board before this Thanksgiving so that they can participate in that. So that's going to be the position that will help out once we hire the nutrition coordinator. Will also help out to reopen our cafe program and expand some of our offerings nutritionally here at the center. We did a salary survey, as we did not have a lot of, we only had one applicant actually for our nutrition coordinator position. So we have kind of right-sized the salary and have increased it. So we're hoping that one is reopened, or feeling pretty positive about getting that filled in the next couple weeks as well. We've had no applicants for the driver's position, but I don't think that's a surprise to anybody right now with what's going on with bus drivers and other drivers out there right now. It's a very competitive market, and there's definitely not enough people for the positions that are trying to be filled, but we are hopeful and we'll keep recruiting with that. My position, they conducted the first round interviews this past week. And so that's progressing. So their hope is to have a little bit of crossover time from when I leave and that person starts if possible. So that's going on. Our budgeting process is starting right now, which when I thought about leaving at the end of December, it sounded like a good time to me. Didn't even think about the fact that would be in the middle of the budget process. But we do have seasoned staff here on board, and are pretty hopeful that and I'm not that far away. So if there are any issues, obviously people can call me as well. So that's kind of the status. Like I said, entering the budgets, agency grants applications, the Human Service Advisory Commission changed that process. So that's going to be different this year. What they're going to be doing is the council will be allotting an amount of money for agency grants. And then once we have that, the Human Service Advisory will put those grant applications out so will be less time between when people actually apply for the grants and they're granted. So those should come out in the spring. And what's going out now, probably within the next couple of weeks, is the ARPA grants to area social service agencies. The town allotted $350,000 from the ARPA funds that the town got to go to support area agencies that serve Mansfield residents. And there are specific priority areas. The grants will be between $5,000 and $25,000 a piece, and they're one-shot deal grants. It'll be advertised through our website. We'll send them out to the agencies that we're aware of. And there will be press releases, a lot of press. So that should be going out pretty soon. And again, those are one-shot deal grants. The due date for the first review will be mid-January. And then that will be done by the Human Service Advisory and some, appropriate staff in town. And then those grants will go back to the council for overall approval based on the recommendations from the Human Service Advisory Council. So right now I'm kind of trying to get everything together as much as I can for the next person so that, you know, they're fully prepared when they walk in to the job. So that's kind of my goal. We're in the middle of our holiday programs over at Social Services. Those applications have gone out. You know, will be working roughly, probably around 100 children this year, I think is what we're going to serve. There's ongoing collections right now happening. So if you have any questions about that, Sarah Dufresne, our adult service caseworker, is the lead on that project. So she'd be happy to answer any of those questions on that. So that's my report. Any questions?
Hey, Pat.
Yep.
It's David. Hey, have we considered finding somebody internally as a driver and just getting them the right endorsement through DMV?
We actually have in our department quite a few people who do have that endorsement. So in fact, almost all of the senior center staff have it, including our outreach worker who coordinates the transportation program. Almost all of our social workers and youth service have it. Sarah Dufresne, our caseworker, has it. So we do have quite a few people in-house. I was joking the other day, it's probably not so funny, and I said we probably have more people who can drive the vehicles than the Board of Ed does, you know, early on when they were struggling to such an extent. So we also will be getting a van through ARPA funds, another van that we can use for various things, including some of our youth programming during the summer, some of the food distribution things that we do through Farms to Families, and a number of other initiatives we have in our department. And then a backup vehicle. Our second van here is really getting old. I've been here for 9 years, and that van was here before I got here. That's well beyond life usage, and it gets hard to replace the parts and fix things when they break down. So it'll be nice to have another van as a backup to our current newer one that we received. So that was approved by the council as well. I think you all know about supply chain issues with vehicles. So I'm not sure when we will be able to actually get that vehicle, but that has been approved. We'll be going through state contract to purchase that. But yeah, we're probably better prepared than most departments on that avenue, have always had to be, because we need to be able to, if there's something critical happening, people have to be able to drive the van. So any other questions? If you know anybody who's interested, that van job is really kind of nice. The person we have doing it now, Dave, is a retiree. He just enjoys taking people. People are really positive. The trips are fun to take people on. So it's kind of a nice little part-time job if you know anybody who's looking to do something like that. You're muted, Nancy.
Yeah. Tell me about how many hours you're looking for the driver. I'm just curious. And you're looking for someone with a CDL, is that right?
No, public service license.
Public
So,
service.
We can do up to 19 hours a week, depending on the need.
Okay.
They haven't really grown that program because of the fact we'd like to do more regular trips. We'd like to be able to get more people here into the center, and we'd like to do more medical and disabled transportation. So,
Right.
but we don't want to start that till we have the drivers to do it.
Okay. So, so the people who are not interested, the people you have internally, is that right? At this
Well, the
point?
people who have internally already have it, but they have other jobs too.
Right, right.
So
Okay.
they're able to do backup, or they're able to do, if someone needs to drive, let's say a group, let's say we were taking everybody to see a senior center.
Right.
Sarah can drive, Jordan can drive, Jamel can drive, Sarah Dufresne can drive. So I have staff who can drive, It's just I'd have to pull them from what else they do in order to
Right,
do.
I got it. Yeah. Okay. All right, great. Well, I'll be looking for you.
Oh, great, because it's,
Yeah.
you know, it's a wonderful service and for a lot of people, the state transportation program and the WRTD just doesn't work for them. So,
Yep. Yep.
you know, we're looking to do what we can to meet the need. But it's
Right.
hard when there's nobody out there who wants to drive, you know, that, and again, because we're competing with so many different people right now. It's tough.
Right. Oh, I'm sure. Yes, definitely. So, okay, well, I will keep my eyes and ears open, or whatever you say.
And anyone you know who might be interested in the nutrition coordinator position, I believe
Okay.
that's going to be like 20 to 22 an hour, 30 hours with town benefits. So it's a good job.
Okay. Right. Okay. Great. I wrote that down. Definitely will be looking.
Okay, great, thanks.
Other questions for Pat? Okay, moving along. Will, WRTD. Okay,
I don't know, Will, if you want to stand up right there too, so they can hear what you're saying.
That would be super helpful if that's okay. Made a big difference.
I really get nervous up in the sun.
Okay, you hear me? Okay. 8 months ago, I requested from WRTD statistics on Mansfield, about how many people ride, where they go, so on and so forth. Like I said, 8 months ago, I was told at that time that there is a report that is sent to the town manager that I would be put on and I would get this report. Well, several months later, I asked again. Again, I was told that this report goes to the town manager and that I would be put on it. Okay, a couple of months after that, I asked again, and I was still told that this report goes to the town manager and I would get a copy. Well, finally, I threatened to make a big deal out of this at a board meeting, and this is what they sent me. Okay, they sent me one for October, for September, but I never got one for October. I don't know if I can, how to do this, but I don't know if you can see it, but these are like the statistics for dial-a-ride. Okay, for the month of September. All right. These are the statistics for the WRTD bus route. Now you'll notice that it is quite comprehensible. You can look at it and you can tell exactly what's going on. Well, that's what I got. I got a big file and nothing about Mansfield. You had to go down and look at it. You had to try to figure out what's going on. Okay. Now, I'm done. I'm done with WRTD. Okay. Them people down here, all they care about now is Yukon. That's all they want to know about is Yukon. So I'm going to get in touch with the town manager. And I'm going to tell him, do not reappoint me the next time to the board of directors. I'm sorry, but I've had enough.
Question for Will.
I just have a comment. One of the things that they had said they were going to do at WRTD is take off the subscription riders who are taking up, that was why seniors and other people could not get a lot of transportation because they were taking people every day back and forth to work. And it looks like they're almost exclusively doing subscription riders. Daycare, that's a subscription rider ridership, and so our work transportation. So they're not doing very many individual trips for seniors who need to go to doctor's appointments and other days.
I got a comment on that. Okay. October of last year, I sent some corrections that I would like to see to the diary booklet that limits the number of scripts and how long it takes, how long they can go without being active, and so on and so forth. The following day, I got a call from the chairman of the board that said, well, we can't take this up right now, Will, because, you know, we got some other stuff. It's okay, fine, no problem. I figured she'd bring it up sometime or other. Well, about 9 months later, I sent her an email and said that I wanted to bring this up at a meeting. Well, the next meeting, I got chastised for saying that, you know, we don't bring things up like that all at once. You know, you have to, you know, put it on, keep going. I said, okay. So then I brought in the email that I sent her and I showed it to her and she says, I never saw that. I said, well, yes, you did, because you called me and you told me you couldn't do it. Then in a meeting, I said to her, I said, you owe me an apology for not doing this, okay? Nothing. She shut up, she scammed up. Okay, those people down there do not care about people. As a matter of fact, when I talk to the town manager, I'm gonna tell him that maybe we should get out of subsidizing them people with $138,000 a year. Okay, I'm sorry, people, but I've had enough of it.
I think it's more than 130.
Well, the last figure I knew was $138,000.
I'm just concerned, like I said, and it's not that I don't feel people need to go to work, and it's not that I don't feel people need to go to daycare. What happens is other people cannot get to doctor's appointments because they're transporting people at the time of the day that most people need to go and be picked up from doctor's appointments. So there's a very small window where they're actually doing transportation for our people, and they become very dependent on the town's one van, part-time driver, and volunteer system to get people back and forth. Just saying, that's become what was a nice add-on for what would be considered out of district first. It wasn't for in town, has now become one of the primary ways that people get to their doctor's appointments. Not only out of town or further away, but in town. And some of our drivers know that these people are very dependent on our system, which when you only have one driver, you know, we have wonderful volunteers, by the way, who really dedicate a lot of time to doing this. But I just think it is not recognizing that we're not providing that service in a good way. You know, we say we have the dial-a-ride program, but it works for very few people. That's what I would say. And I'm not sure how we'll be able to correct it especially since they took over Yukon Transportation, because I think that has become their primary focus.
Yeah.
So the town stuff, and particularly dial-a-ride, is, you know, they call it dial-a-ride, but it's, you know, it's really more subscription dial-a-ride that help a few people get daily to where they need to. And again, like I said, I have no problem with transportation for work and to daycare centers. That's needed. But it is a little bit on the challenging side that, you know, people can't get to doctor's appointments. And quite frankly, daycare is a fee-for-service program. In many places, those daycares provide the transportation themselves too. So I'm not quite sure why that many rides are actually going to daycare.
Every morning at 8 o'clock, the dial-a-ride goes past my house, empty, to pick up one person in Jensen's and bring them down to the Borough Manor Senior Center. And at 4 o'clock, that same one comes back empty with just her sitting in it. Okay, and we can't give people, like that says, we can't give people medical appointments or anything like that. And they flatly told me outright that, no, they don't do that. Everybody was taken, whatever, however they come along.
You can't do daycare transportation and not have a subscription, and you can't do work transportation, because people have to be able to rely on getting there and back every day, right? You know, so they're definitely doing a subscription program again.
It's, like I said, I tried to get it. I tried to make corrections to it. They just don't want to hear it. So, I mean, I'm spinning my wheels, folks. I'm sorry, I tried for you.
You know, it's been my impression over the years, professionally, working in the surrounding towns, that the towns that have not relied on Dial-A-Ride have created their own transportation systems for
Correct.
seniors. Like Lebanon, you know, has had for years.
Robust.
It-
They have a very
yeah.
robust.
Yes, right.
Keaton does as well. Colchester does as well.
Right. It's almost like you're handicapped by the fact that you're reliant on Dial-A-Ride, you know, it's like you count on them, but they don't really show up or they're not really there and you're putting funds into it. So, but I think it used to be that Lebanon had almost a 40-hour person who was doing, you know, transportation in that area. So it's kind of interesting. So,
Right, and actually Colchester, small little Colchester, I believe, has a driver and a half. I think they have 60 hours.
Yeah.
right.
So, you know,
Their ADA is good. I'm scared.
right. Yeah, the ADA part is
The
good.
WTRD is good with ADA.
Right.
They really are, with the rest of it.
Right.
Sorry, I'm done.
Right,
Thank
so
you.
you know, down the line, it's gonna continue to be an issue, obviously. It's been an issue and it's gonna continue to be probably even more of an issue with transportation. You know, other than throwing a lot of money
How do
at
we-
it
how do we
and
solve it?
creating our own program.
I'll
I'm
tell
not
you- I'll tell
sure.
you how we solve it. We go up to before the council, or we go up to see Ryan, and we tell him that all that money, the $138,000 that we're giving the WTRD, you give it to her.
Well, not to me, sometimes.
I'm serious. Give it to her. Let her
A little
run it.
going away present for you.
I'm sorry, I'm
No, it's true.
Let somebody do it who's actually gonna do it.
exactly.
And doesn't the town have 2 bands now?
Well, they have one newer one and one that's
Like,
beyond life usage.
Beyond help.
So, no, I'm not saying beyond help, because it's a great backup band to have, you know, when we had, what is it, the Cadillac Converter? That one didn't get stuck, so we actually had that. But if it breaks down, it's harder for them to fix. So, you know, that's the challenge. When you have an older vehicle, it's harder to get parts and it's harder to fix and it's more expensive to run. So, but we do have a backup for it now, which is good.
How do we make the council start doing stuff for us?
Yeah, I think you have to
I
go,
think-
you have to bring, this issue has come before the council a number of times.
Oh, and the WTRD has been up before the council a number of times.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no act.
Well, there's some action and then, you know what I mean? It kind of goes back and forth, but I saw a real tipping point when they took over the Yukon transportation.
Yes.
And they were hurting financially at that point, so I know that they saw that as kind of saving their day.
See, that's what trouble, Brad, when you get older, you lose it, you know? It's almost gone. I forgot.
can we put it on the agenda for next month, maybe draft a letter to Ryan and the town council? Because I think we would need to know what we could do if we funded WRTD. And if
Yeah,
that
I
funds
mean,
could
it's-
hire someone to the
it's-
whole.
Yeah, it's tough because there's different parts of that grant. So there's one part that's just specifically for having a transportation line. It's a cost share line. We can't really pull that out. But then there's two, and they can't really pull the ADA part out because that ADA part is also part of that. That means they have to provide transportation around the line. The Dial-A-Ride line is part, but then that has a big impact on the transit authority and what they get federally if we pull the funds.
So that's only a portion of what they, about what we put in is only a portion of what they spend. So
I'll tell you-
it's,
I'll
it's
tell you-
very different.
I'll tell you how to do it. Dump the membership that we belong to them. There's a lot of towns that don't even, that have, they have to cover, that the towns don't have a membership in there, and they don't pay. But the towns are covered. So all we do
By
is just say,
dial-up, but not by, they don't have a bus. route.
well, I'm just saying.
That's what ties the town to it. is we have a
If the
bus route.
town, if the town says, we're giving up our membership, okay, you mean to tell me that the buses are gonna stop running in the town of Mansfield? I don't think so.
Like I said, I'm not sure that they can pull that portion of it that actually has.
Well, I'm gonna talk to
the bus
Ryan
line,
about it.
But you should,
I'm going to,
Absolutely.
yes, yes.
you know, that's probably the biggest amount of that money is the bus line, and not the dial, right?
I don't seem to have a problem with the bus line. I don't have a problem. My problem is dial-up.
Right.
That's my big problem. That's the one I want defunded, dial-up. Now, we'll see what happens when I talk to him. I don't know if I can, I don't even know if I can get an appointment with him. I tried 3 times.
Mhm.
I'll try again.
Now, how are Hebron and Colchester doing so much better?
So what's happened is Hebron and Colchester are not on a public bus line. So like many towns, actually all the other towns that I've worked for have, the town runs its own dial-ride program. It's actually part of their department. So, and it's been as big as in Glastonbury where they, they do have a small bus line, but not much. And so their dial-ride program has, they put 4 vehicles out just in town a day to get people around. Again, much bigger senior population there, and a big, like here as far as land mass is concerned. South Windsor, same thing, very limited bus line, but they have 3 vehicles a day on, the part-time drivers, but they have 3 vehicles a day. Colchester, I think, like I said, no bus line at all. So that's all, or the only transportation that's available is through the town's 100% town funded. That's what I'm saying. These are all town has funded. We have not only, but we have taken the money that we have and put it into the regional program, which on paper really makes sense because our people are often not going in town, they're going to area towns. So that does make sense. It's, but you have to have the infrastructure of the vehicles. And it's a lot of work doing that kind of dispatching and getting and solving those problems on a day-to-day basis. And that, I had, a number of staff that did that in the different towns I worked. So it would be the town would have to make a commitment both from an equipment point of view, equipment maintenance point of view, and also on a staffing point of view. And it's a big commitment. So it would cost to build the infrastructure, it would cost. So it would cost lots.
So we just stuck with it.
So, and that's why the town was innovative in getting involved with the volunteer program and getting the grant that we had that pays for the part-time driver and some salary for the coordination of that. So the town's been pretty innovative with the money that it does have and the volunteers have been fantastic. But if we move the volunteers, that would be, they're vital to making the program actually work. If we didn't have such community volunteers, we'd be in a much worse situation. So, but it is unfortunate that dial-ride isn't serving at the level that, and especially with an aging population, it will become more and more critical.
Who would have an overview of the situation, give us a sort of presentation?
I mean, I don't know what, again, you could have someone from the transit district come in and present, but they're gonna present from their perspective.
We've had WTR add up in our meetings
Yeah.
numerous times. Okay, and they always come up with the same excuse all the time. They come up with, okay, it's the board of directors that are doing this, and one person, as Marge Roach, she is chairman of the board. She's been chairman of the board since the water was invented.
She's from Coventry, correct?
Yes. And she rules that thing with an iron fist, and if she don't want to do anything, nothing gets done on the board. I bang my head
So-
against the wall.
So here's what I would say. So because of the biggest part of the groups and the biggest funders are Mansfield and Willimantic, they have more say than,
You don't.
I know, but what I'm saying is that's the way it's set up.
Yeah.
So,
She's got her 3 or 4
There was
board members right
Right.
here. That
but
whatever
there
she
was a
said goes.
time when the town manager sat on that board. To try to help straighten that out, you know.
He couldn't.
But, you know, that's part of it too. So the towns that have that are contributing the most, that have the biggest part of the line, which are Willimantic is the top. Willimantic and then Mansfield is the second, have the most power in their votes. Their votes are weighted on the board.
Just for your information, Willimantic does not have a representative on the board.
They're
And
literally
they
the
can't get
biggest.
another, they can't get a
Yeah.
representative. Okay,
I think at one point, their town manager was on.
yeah, well,
Maria
there was one when I first went on, and she said, no, I'm not putting up with this stuff. She would.
But anyway, so it is a board, board, and a lot of it is directed toward Congress, and of course, they have to show where the money's coming from, which right now primarily it's coming from their grant, their federal grant, as well as coupons subsidies. And they're saving coupons. saving a lot. Okay.
I'm going, Next.
So where do we go from here?
all right. Oh. What, you want to take it over? You can have it.
No, but I'm saying,
You can go down here and try to get
that's what
something
I'm
done.
talking about. We've been talking about drivers and all of this. It's like, we never get anything done. Why?
Because of 9 people that sit over there.
So, I don't know, I think we should go sit on their doorstep and say, we're not leaving until you start dealing with these issues. I don't think we should let them get away with what they do.
I have a funny feeling that we are the lowest thing
On
on
the
the fire.
priority, correct,
As a matter of fact, I don't even think we're on the fire.
correct. And they keep on throwing questions back at us.
Yeah, like the last
And they
meeting.
get nowhere, so the town manager has the power,
No, you don't have no power.
the council.
The council that, Tony Moran has power. She's the one she's the mayor.
Don't even let me go there. Come on.
Well, I can't, like I said, I can say that they did authorize who after ARPA funds, the part-time driver here. You know, the problem is trying to hire them. So they have heard that they know there's transportation.
Oh, they do that.
And they hear from their constituents. Like, There's
Well, you know,
transportation.
Tony Moran chastised WRTD at a meeting. Okay, and I told him that at a council meeting, and she just.
She just throws questions back at us. And she has her own issues she's dealing with like right now,
Who?
Tony.
Oh, okay. We all have personal issues that we're dealing with.
I just don't care. I mean, I don't see anything happening for us in this town.
Again, you're moving toward the budget season if you have input. This would be the time.
Delays.
To, move that forward.
Okay, let's be going. I gotta.
I will just say one more time, I think we need to be making more noise at council meetings. Much as I hate the thought of having to go to them, we don't make enough noise.
And we're on the bottom of the agenda.
And that's one reason why we're not noisy enough.
Okay, well, change topic.
Okay. Jen says everything is fine in Jensen. We're having our Christmas party coming up. They're finally done with all the driveways and all the construction over there, so now maybe we can just live in peace for a while.
Okay, who could ask more than that? Martina?
For what?
Doing it again, you're in charge.
Glen Ridge.
Oh, Glen Ridge?
No, Glen Ridge is, no, it's vacant. Glen Ridge is vacant.
Okay,
That's
Oh.
what we have to put down.
Okay,
What's your name?
question on that, John, didn't we decide to drop the rights way? Because of all the, this, we've never had anybody even think about doing anything over the commission, so. And there's not that many people over there, I think we should just take them right off the agenda, so.
what's your feeling?
Anybody?
If they don't care, why should we?
Exactly.
Well,
I think they could always be reinstituted.
Absolutely, we
Had a representative that was enthusiastic.
like the prodigal son.
Did we find out how many seniors are there now? Do you know?
I mean, that was one, I just know that there's less than 50% of the population is seniors.
I've seen a figure and I have no idea where it came from, but there's still like half of them are seniors, right?
Less than,
That's
Less
the
than
best.
less than half.
And
They're more disabled.
none of them stepped forward when we asked over there, so I guess they're not interested in advocating for themselves.
So I will leave that off until further action there. Mary called me and she said that she's got some health issues and she's going to have to step down for at least a considerable time. So we don't have a representative for Juniper Hill.
They, there's a meeting, I think, this week. They're going to discuss because Rhonda Daisy, is now employed. So she is not playing the backup. So they'll discuss it at the residents meeting.
Okay, so we may be getting.
We may get-
Good. Okay, I think that actually brings us to old business. At the August meeting, Sarah reported that she's up to her eyeballs in responsibility and she just doesn't have time to organize trips to senior centers. It seems to me that there's a good bit that the commission could do if they want to have trips. I talked to Sarah this morning before this meeting, and she indicated that there's at least the possibility that we could do a van. So if we contacted the senior centers, picked out dates, etc., checked with the calendar as to what van is scheduled for. At least potentially there is a van. My thought is particularly for trips that aren't that far. We could carpool if we needed to. So, how much do we want to do? How badly do you want to go on senior trips?
Well, winter's coming right now, so,
And I asked, what are we accomplishing?
well, just to, we're
are
seeing
we
what's out there.
actually going to have input into the design and structure?
Probably not.
No, we
Well,
don't.
so
Don't say
where
that.
are we gonna go with our ideas?
We need to have input into what we want. That's why we're doing all of this. And we have to stand firm that we want input and we have to be involved. No, we can't go saying probably not and all of that. We have to stand firm and do it.
They'll let us put our input. They did the last time, a couple times ago, you know, that they had us go right, we were in the council chamber. When they came in, they just asked us a whole bunch of questions, what we wanted, blah, 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 so on and so forth. And it was for naught, actually, but anyway, they did, the last time we went about this, they did involve us, and I'm sure they will involve us again.
So maybe,
And
we-
actually, that was very successful because it helped prioritize the senior center project as one of the top projects. So I'm absolutely certain that they'll have workshops, that where you'll have input and the staff will have input. So, I mean, you'll be very involved.
I'm sure, yeah.
That's what I would say to you. So they've already taken a lot of the input that they got from the past. But they're just doing, we just did conceptual overall master, like overall brand. Now, the next step would be to get into the more detail.
and that's where we have to be represented.
Right.
That's where we have to
And the
show
more
up.
information
I'm
you
sure
know
we
from other places,
Right.
what the mistakes they made and the good things that they did,
Right.
the
But
better.
I think it would give us a lot more credibility if we have
It's also a big way to build support, if you have knowledgeable people talking about what's happening and out in the community as well. Because you have to build not only the support of the seniors, but the support of the whole community to get the project done.
Sarah had mentioned that she was at a seminar
Yeah.
and she has a lot of input. Sure. I think that information would be more profitable for us to be able to present than just going on.
I can tell you, there's nothing more valuable than actually seeing the centers and how they work and
Right.
listening to people's stories about what worked and what didn't.
Right.
That's, and how the buildings, like seeing some of the buildings, that were good when they first opened it up, but they didn't realize they needed this, and this, and that has become a problem. So I think that input is invaluable. I mean, I love going and seeing different centers, because I'm a concrete person versus a conceptual person, so it's a lot easier for me to see how it's working. What works well and what doesn't.
I'm thinking back to when we came back after East Hartford. And Sarah had a really detailed item by item list of what was good, what was bad. Are we doing that for every place we go? What would benefit us when we have the opportunity for input is to say, this is what worked, this is what didn't, this is what we want, this is what we want to avoid. We can't just say this and that and this and that, and in general, we need to be making bullet points at that point. And I think if we're going to continue going on site visits, somebody needs to be
Right.
just.
And-
And I think
That's
it would be good to invite the new director when they started to go on those as well.
Well, that's what Laura and I did. I made a list, and so if we could compile lists of good things and things that are, problematic. Like one major problematic thing that happened at Wyndham was the Wyndham school system had a lockdown. And the senior center and community center could not lock down. Because they had to get in touch with an IT person to lock it down. And there was no way to do that. And so staff was scared because you can come through the front door or the back door or the side door, they could not lock down.
Nobody in the director of senior center was not authorized to lock that thing
No,
down.
no, because it's all
It's
it's
Parks and Rec.
remote and.
Yeah, and it's also Parks and Rec.
It's Parks and Rec building. And that was scary for them. That was,
That's
so there
scary.
are some concrete things that we can report on. So we have to figure out doing the
Right.
report, getting
And
all the
security
information and then getting it. to the town.
Absolutely everything, not only in lockdown, but, as you know, we've had, murders, so not once, but multiple times here, which leads, where do we have cameras? What kind of cameras, what kind of security do you have? And those kind of things that we wouldn't necessarily think of in another time.
We've had the state police sitting up. When I come home sometimes.
Yep.
The state police is sitting out.
So,
So,
do
no,
we
in our
have-
parking lot.
Do we have, or can we create a binder, something or other, where all of these individual site
The good
visits.
things, the bad, and
I
actually,
just-
if you take
A
a
list
picture,
so about that,
that's valuable as well.
before we go in to put down our input, we can take a look at this and make one comprehensive list for all of these places we have been and say blah, 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 without having to take up a lot of time to get them right between the eyes with it.
I'm willing to do that, Laura, because Laura has notes.
Yeah, I have it down, both of you on the agenda to report on your trip to Wyndham.
Yeah.
Um,
Because Sarah's report after East Hartford was incredible.
Okay, Laura, you want to give your highlights of the Wyndham?
One of the things that stuck out for the combination with Parks and Rec, and that it was intended to have users from either side come through the common areas. And when we were in that common area, the pool locked, and they could find a single key to unlock it, which brought up to my mind, maybe it gets locked a lot and it's not being used. So it affects how Mansfield looks at this. If we were to be in common with our community center, it was not a happy marriage. There were issues on both sides. So there were a lot of positives, but sharing with you what really stuck out for me as a negative.
You okay with you? Do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, I made some lists, so, everyone talks about storage, they need more storage. They did have a good PA system, but they needed a drop down screen, they would like to have plugs in the floor, more outlets. Everyone
That's a
needs
good
more
idea.
outlets. They do serve 50 seniors per day so far. That's pretty good.
That's great.
For their lunch, they serve 20 to 30 people per day. They keep the kitchen separate from the senior center, so they have a different door for access. Because they are also, their human service offices in there now, that's a different access. So if you have a human services appointment, you don't have to go to the senior center or even the community center. So that stays private, so people don't know. They wanted, like I said, they wanted to coordinate with the town because they want more security cameras and they could not lock those doors electronically during the lockdown. And like Laura said, the access to the pool couldn't get in there. So there are things they have to work out. But
Tina, could you make a list of that on the
Mhm.
computer or somebody?
yeah, I'll write it up.
And keep a file on it.
Okay.
So as we go to these community centers, we take these notes and we put them in this file.
Mhm.
And then when it's our turn, we just print out this file and we'll have exactly what we need to go and talk about.
Okay.
Okay, that's,
So you also get Sarah's.
Right.
Okay.
yes.
And
that's
we
right,
did-
no, still, yeah.
Did we go to Wallingford? I did.
No, no, go to one.
We went to East Hartford.
Right.
Yes,
And Sarah has notes on that.
very good looks, yes.
Yes.
I also went to Wyndham. And essentially everything I noticed is just covered, but it surprised me that having a professional architects who would wind up with a place that didn't have enough closets, didn't have enough electrical out. So I don't think you can assume that those are automatically gonna happen.
Right.
And also the audio visual, I think they didn't have Wi-Fi throughout the building. And yes, they had some access like this, but it wasn't any better than this, which I certainly expect should happen.
Yeah, don't forget, every electrical cost, every additional and electrical, every additional closet that you want for storage. It all cost money.
Well, we have to advocate for that.
I
We need-
understand that,
like,
but this is,
look at
but this is,
We need more room here. We need separate rooms because people walk through here. can't close the door, I mean, that's what
I
we have to
understand.
do.
I'm with you, Martina, I'm with you. I'm with you.
The seminar, she said, and I don't know whether she's gonna share that, but they specialize in designing senior centers. And I think that we need to
We have-
have a strong holidays, what she's doing this year.
Well, we have a little bit more time since the winter.
Yeah.
We travel.
I think we should. Solid notes on all the good and bad.
It hasn't happened.
To notice time, what we can say something
Yeah.
about it, we need to know what we want to say instead of just. having a
To be.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
Yes.
I looked through my old-
Well, we got the ball on the next month.
Yes.
Oh, I will, springtime, springtime. And we'll make a file,
Yeah.
so we can present it to the town. present it to the architects, and have-
Okay,
One more, sorry.
we've left the senior center trips in limbo. We've got,
But we want to have
Martina.
Sarah, we want to have Sarah come and
Do a
talk to us
presentation,
about.
seminar to about who designed the centers, and she said there was a lot of good points. And then we presented to the council.
okay, so
We will take. a
what
trip
about
to
additional trips? Do we want to take on
Springtime,
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 postpone till spring?
Yeah. I think.
Yeah, because
The holidays.
nothing's gonna happen real fast.
Hurry up and wait, Will.
Okay. And unless I'm missing something, there's no other, we already did the opportunity for the public. So you see the dates,
Yes.
forget about that first line, it doesn't make too much sense. Anybody have objections to those dates? I guess I should say, all those in favor of the proposed dates indicate yes,
Yeah,
Aye.
aye.
carries.
Okay, good.
Here a motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.
So moved, done. Thank you all.
Bye.
Thank you.
No word.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Yeah.